Greetings, Miracle in Motion. Yet another video about stuff I find interesting and stuff that maybe someone needs to hear. Today I want to share something about the gap. It's not my invention, but the gap is something that separates divinity from divinity. In ourselves, it separates male from female, it separates Father Sun from Mother Earth. And the gap could be an abbreviation for General Aggrievation Program or General Aggression Program or something. But the idea to me is very resonant, and I'm going to show an image I made to exemplify. The gap is everything that we may think is wrong with the world. There's war, there are strifes, there are starvation, there are fear, aggression, win-lose, all of these things that thrive on our fear, on our worry, on our more or less desperate desire to fight things or hate things or react to things. And some energies, they can only live in this gap, because the gap, the function of in the gap or of the gap is that it is powered by force, and force is always met with a counter force, and force needs energy from something else to sustain itself. It needs energy from something else. It may need energy from massive amounts of people being afraid, for instance, because fear powers this gap. And this gap is closing because divinity wants to reunite with divinity in ourselves, in creation, and in general. And healing the rift between man and woman is part of our mission in these turbulent times, these times of prophecy. And the gap is closing because it is not natural, it's degenerative. It's not sustaining itself. It is taking more life than it gives. And that's the difference between power and force. Power is unlimited. You say the power of love, you don't say the force of love. And I'd rather be powerful than forceful. And another thing, this gap is closing. And if we speak about resonance, if a space is closing, the frequency will increase because the hertz, not the amplitude, the amplitude will of course be smaller and smaller. And this might be experienced as time going quicker, it's speeding up, because the space in which mechanical time can act is decreasing. So the notion of the passing of time is speeding up as long as we are in mechanical time. But natural time is like sunrise, sunset, full moon, crescent moon, whatever. The winter solstice, the summer solstice, and whatnot. These are natural times. And the clock, 12 hours, 60 seconds, the Gregorian calendar, is part of an unnatural system of timekeeping, in a way. So this gap is closing in you and in the world, and there are forces that are desperate to keep this gap open. Because, as I said, they can only live inside this gap. And when we give away our divinity to fear, to hatred, to fighting against something, instead of focusing what we want to create, we sustain this gap. We keep it open. We feed it energy, because that's the thing. When we focus energy on something we want to fight or take away, we are giving it energy. And this is not like rocket science. This, I believe, is common knowledge, more or less common knowledge. We feed what we focus on. And when we focus on destroying something or taking something away, we are actually giving it more energy. And that's the difference. I believe I've said this before. When you focus on creation, some destruction will always occur, because creation means changing something. A seed that breaks free from the husk, of course, it destroys the husk. A butterfly breaking free from the cocoon destroys the cocoon. So creation always contains some amount of destruction. But destruction does not necessarily contain anything about creation. So when we focus on what's wrong with the world, what we want to take away, what needs to be destroyed, what needs to be fought against, we give away our creative power. But this gap is closing, the general aggrievation program, and we are truly living in the time of prophecy. And this gap, of course, will have to close in you before it closes in the world. But it's happening, and since we are in the gap, how do we do? What do we do? I always think it's important to come up with a solution for action and for being. Well, you can imagine, like I usually do, that your heart is like a sun, a sleeping sun. And when you're in the gap and you allow your heart to become blazing like a sun, you can imagine it. How do you do it? You can imagine it. Like you are a sun awakening in the gap. And you will create a bridge of light between divinity and divinity, which will merge in you, and you will, in a way, create a bridge of light inside the gap that will awaken other hearts. So it's only through love and through acceptance, which doesn't mean we should just numb ourselves and ignore atrocities and whatnot. But if we truly want to change something, we need to give energy what we want to create. And don't judge. We can evaluate, but we don't need to morally judge something, because judgment entails some amount of, I know that this is bad, so I can judge it because I am so awakened and enlightened. But it's more about evaluating, okay, this is something that's not very life-giving or generative, so I will focus on something else. Well, that's the gap. Short presentation of a subject I am struggling a bit with to convey, especially in English, since English isn't my first language, but every video I feel it is flowing better and better. At least that's what I feel. Maybe you don't agree, but if it's one thing that is important in these times, is to live our truth and do things that may seem a bit uncomfortable or even scary. But we have to, as someone said, step into the arena. We have to show ourselves in all our vulnerability and whatnot. Because we're here to shine. We're not here to adapt. We're here to explore and expand and not be the limited version. That's usually something, or this is a limited edition. We have a limited edition of a burger or a shoe or whatnot. But we're here to be the unlimited edition of ourselves. Humanity, the unlimited edition. That's something I'm looking forward to experiencing. Okay, I truly wish you and your loved ones all the best. Take care, and we'll see each other soon again. All the best.